Welcome to Beverly Sports Weekly, everybody. As we approach the month of May, a rough week for the Panthers. I'm Chris McDonough.
And I'm Trevor Levine.
Welcome to Beverly Sports Weekly. Let's get right to that scoreboard in a somewhat abbreviated edition of the BSNW this week. And we'll start with the baseball team, who actually fared somewhat well this week, considering what they've done in the past week. Above 500, Tlev.
Yeah, first game they came up, beat Saugus, Chris's star friend pitcher, or whatever his name is. They beat him pretty easily. And then they came through with Costco, but squished it.
At the home of Yuri Sanchez.
Yeah, at the home of Yuri Sanchez and his team. He's actually the former baseball player. But they lost 7-0, and then they went on to face Saugus in a controversial game. Brian Ware hit what was thought to be a ground rule double, but called a home run by the umpire, being that the fence blended in with the grass in the background at the home run mark. And so we get a home run there, and then squeaks by with a narrow victory over a very strong team in Swampscott.
So the Panthers now, after that week, a surprising week, they find themselves surprisingly at second place in the Southern Division. Danvers actually first in the North, but they find themselves second place, one game ahead of their arch rivals coming up pretty soon. Softball, Panthers and Saugus. That game was postponed once again. That game will be made up at a later date. We'll keep you posted. Panthers, they topped Classical 10-3. The bats on fire for this team, and then they topped Swampscott once again, this time by a 3-1 margin. Lacrosse game.
Yeah, lacrosse. They went 2-1 over the stretch. Normally a good record for most teams, but Beverly not satisfied. They beat an easy NEC team, Swampscott. But then the real game that mattered against Andover, they came out. They had a 5-goal lead with 6 minutes left, and then they lost it. Went into overtime. Andover got the winning goal. Game over. Beverly really devastated there. A real hostile environment at Andover.
I called that.
Well, it's not a trap game when the team's ranked 10th in the state, but
they were ranked 16th last week.
Anyway, they were ranked 10th in the state when coming into the game. But then Beverly, rebound at Hurd against Marblehead. Beverly came up big win, 15-9.
The ladies lack not so well. Manchester Essex, 2-goal loss.
A soft Manchester Essex team this year after losing their star players.
Only the second time ever they lose to Salem. The arch rivals, never good losing to those people over there. 12-7, Panther 12. We won't talk about that so much. And then the longest running lacrosse matchup, I think, in the state or maybe even in the nation. The ladies edition, Panthers followed Ipswich by 2 goals in the battle of black and orange. Track Tlev, though.
Yeah, back on the sport that really matters. Track. We have Panthers and
Marblehead Magicians.
Yeah, they barely beat Marblehead.
Huge win for both the boys and girls to beat Marblehead.
Yeah, well, the boys haven't beaten Marblehead in a long time. They're NEC champ for a long time running, so that was a huge win for them. And so they stay at, I think they're at 5-1 now on the season. And then the girls track, nothing new. They go out.
Lost and
nothing new. They go out. They beat Revere, but then in a rather close game or meet with Marblehead, they only won by a few points. So they're still undefeated, but some rough matches they had there.
Boys tennis, Panthers win Classical, a complete beatdown of the Lynn Classical Rams, 5-0.
Yep.
Then the Big Blues.
The Beverly, obviously in the Classical match, the singles and the doubles came out strong and swinging, and it's really good to see the tennis get back on track. A really good team I've heard this year is the team of Boogust and Sheik. and Chris Boogust.
Oh, legend. All right, so let's start out first with obviously the biggest game of the week. The Panthers, they fall up at Merrimack College to Andover.
Well, yeah, in lacrosse game, Beverly, they faced Andover at Merrimack College. Merrimack, obviously, in Andover. And then, so, mostly Andover fans there. Speaking to a few players of the lacrosse team this week, they were surprised at the fan output that Andover got there, But Beverly, they controlled the entire game. And they were really playing what they wanted to do. They got their shots. They were completely dominating. But then no one really knows what happened in the last 5 minutes. They just fall apart. Andover's getting these easy goals that shouldn't be going in. And Beverly didn't seem to know how to recover. Going to overtime, Andover controlled the entire period, just got the first goal, game over.
It's not a sign you like to see from this team because we've seen this before. Billerica
was a little different. They're more of a powerhouse. Although Beverly did, speaking to the players, they did lose that game on their own more than Billerica was a good team. But they weren't up by 5 goals with 5 minutes left. They were only up by 1 goal at one point in time. So it's really hard, to blame.
a team like this is gonna, they're gonna face, and we'll get to the, big news for this team, the return of Kevin Hayes. We'll get to that in a little bit. But I mean, this isn't a sign of a team. Champions win games like this. You don't blow leads like this. I mean, you're gonna have your ups and downs all year, but you don't lose games like this. I mean, I called it a trap game last week.
It's not a trap game when the team's ranked ahead of you at the other team's
They weren't ranked.
Yes, they were.
I'll
prove it to you. I'll prove it to you, Chris.
Okay, we have this on tape.
We were ranked 14th. They were ranked 10th.
We have this on tape.
I'll prove it to you, Beverly.
The Panthers were ranked 8th. Andover was ranked somewhere out of the top 10. I can promise you that. But I'm right. Well, we have it on tape. We'll see. So the Panthers, they lose that game, and now they find themselves dropping in the state rankings, and their place in the tournament is, they still have that Lincoln Sudbury game, but Lincoln Sudbury's dropped, so
yeah, but Lincoln Sudbury's not even
getting weakened.
Lincoln Sudbury is not the best team left on their schedule. Obviously, they have a team, Medfield. They're the 6th-ranked team in the state right now. They're a very good team. They've beaten a lot of good teams. They've played the same teams Beverly has, and they've actually beaten a few. So, but then, coming back to Andover on that, though, Chris called it a trap game, and it may very well have been, but they beat Billerica. Billerica was the number 2 ranked team in the country. Yeah, so it's not as much as a trap game as Andover is a really good team, and they weren't to be. And Beverly is obviously a really good team too because they outplayed them the entire game. Fell apart in the last 5 minutes. So I haven't lost faith in Beverly yet. They can still do it. They just have to key in on their errors, and I think they can be the best team in the state.